Let me. Hi, everyone. I would like to re-welcome you all here on the Uipath Delhi NCR meetup. And we look forward to host you today and help you with more of our information on the 21.4 release, which is our FTS release. We have a very cool presenter today with us from an organization called Zabia. You can see the branding and the logo here on the left. And they are a global partner with Uipath. At this point of time, we have Shubham, who is an RPA consultant associated with the Delhi meetup for almost 2+ years. He's also part of our team, which is within Zabia for a big data and analytics. Look forward to hear you out, Shubham, and your perspective on 21.4 release and key snippets, what you have observed, what are your learnings, and what are your wow, aha moments in this. Over to you, Shubham.
Sure. Thanks a lot for the introduction, Udit. And hi, everyone. So welcome to the Uipath meetup in Delhi chapter. So in today's session, what we will be talking about is Uipath 21.4 release. So most of it, we would be just talking about the graphs and the basic concepts that were being introduced. And in future, we would be moving on to the next topics. So I'm just moving on to the next slide. So the agendas for the discussion today would be, we would be discussing about 21.4 release, what's new, what has been added out, what has been changed, how you can use it. The second thing that we would covering would be Uipath apps. I won't be showing you the creation of the whole Uipath apps, but I will be showing you a demo of it on how it can be used and how it can be utilized. The third topic that we would be covering is creation of a robot in modern folder. So in this, we would be covering on how we can actually create a modern folder, how we can assign a robot inside it, and what is the use and advantages of using that. The fourth topic that we would be covering would be multiple entry points in a workflow. So why do we need it? Why it is being required? That is what we would be covering. And the last topic that we would be covering would be new updates in Orchestrator. So we would be talking about the Apollo designing, what has been changed inside, what was the earlier version, how it was being covered, and what is new inside this latest version. So moving on to the next slide. So in this, as you can see, this is the latest release, and this has been actually been captured from the Uipath PDF itself. So these are the things that has been actually been added out inside the latest release. The latest capture the latest thing that has been discovered or added out inside the Uipath was a discover thing. So the task mining is something that has been added out. So if you want more details inside this, I can actually provide you an URL in which you can have a detailed analysis of all the things and each and every items inside this. But I would be actually capturing the most important things that has been added out. The studio, the multi-point layout, how you can actually allow, and we would be talking about details. And we would be discussing in a very detailed manner on this. The document understanding, this has been already been covered by Smith in the earlier chapter meet. So how you can use document understanding, how you can extract the PDFs, how you can actually use them, and how it can be used inside the Action Center also. This all things have been covered by Smith in the earlier chapter meet. Now, the next thing that has been added out is AI Center. This has actually been available to us in the latest release. It was earlier available inside the Uipath community version. Now it has been available inside the enterprise one. The automation ops, this is one of the things that has been added out. Now moving on to the engage part, they have now added an apps, Uipath apps. So this is a low code application that can be created for the front user. So they can actually interact with the bot directly. So this is something an attended bot scenario in which you can actually engage the user to have more better experience for engaging the bot. And he can actually interact with the backend and get particular informations, or he can actually use it on that basis. The next thing that was been added was chatbot. So live chatbot has been added with the Amazon Connect integration, and we can actually build an FAQ builder very easily on this. The best thing that has been added in the latest releases that we can find is the front end. So now Uipath has a direct integration with the Tableau and Workato. This is one of the few front end applications in which we can create a dashboard for the for the clients, and they can actually take a look at what is being present and how the data has been flowing on. So now let's move to the next topic, or the next slide. So Uipath apps.
Shubham, just park for a previous slide and let's hear out if we have any questions on this, any specific thing people want us to cover today. Please unmute yourself or raise your hand or just shout out. we are trying to give you one slide, a perspective of all the UiPath product portfolio and the third-party products which get integrated easily in this slide. So maybe it's a new slide for a few people, or you might have not used all these products in your organization, in your experience. Let us know in the chat bot if you have any specific product you would like us to speak for 2 to 3 minutes more in detail. We will cover that.
Hi, this is
Naga has
Shikhar.
raised the hand. Can you just unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Shikhar. Hi,
Yeah.
Shubham. Hi, everyone.
Yeah,
So
Shikhar.
just wanted to check about the apps one. So in the apps UiPath app that has been introduced into this. So in this application, the we can take the directly input from the user, or what it is exactly.
That's correct. It's a like a extended or a higher defined version of a web HTML pages, which is more user friendly. It's like a wrapper on top of your application where you can answer or request your user to put inputs, and based on the inputs, you can trigger respective bots, respective actions.
Okay, so just one more question that for example, if we have a if we are working for a bank line
Yep.
and we are getting the Excel sheet from the one of the bank user or the loans department user or loans department member, that this is the these are the number of the transaction that needs to be approved or rejected for the loans. So do we can we get this directly from the basic user of the or the customer of the bank
But
using
are you
apps?
referring that they will fill up that form, the
Okay.
web form, or they will
Okay.
continue sending it in an Excel file?
Yeah, I'm asking that if we can directly get that in the apps application and to the robot without having the middle person or the bank person in between.
A tricky one, but it's require a detailed solutioning. Probably I would like to park it, but the purpose of the form, the apps is specifically in case in a bank organization, when a contact center representative pick up a phone and he actually toggle between CRM, toggle between billing tool, toggle between other application. You want to give him a one single view, which is on a one screen. He see all the information. That's where the apps comes in the picture. That's our perspective. But the scenario which you are talking, we have to specifically look into it, what you would like to design, and we can recommend the right approach for that.
Okay, got your point.
Thanks, Shikhar.
Thank
Over to
you.
you, Naga. Can you unmute yourself and ask your query?
Yeah, I think you already answered half of it regarding apps. The
Sure.
other half is like I was a bit confused whether this is similar. I know which one is forms and apps. I think which one is similar to Power Apps. Like, you know, it launches the URL and then
Okay,
it creates app kind of thing. Is it apps or
let me
forms?
answer it. Forms was a lighter version of apps, was available with 2019.10. With the 2021.4, it's apps, which is much more advanced version of forms. And if you have to compare it with the Power Automate, I am not too sure which specific feature capability. But as I mentioned, these are like wrappers, which is sitting on top of your business applications such as SAP, SFDC, Microsoft Dynamic, any web application. And you would like to fetch or you would like to give input for a very specific information. So for example, if I receive a phone call from I'm a contact center representative. I receive a call from a customer. So auto populate the information in the forms from my CRM, fetch the last transaction of Udit Jain, and fetch the last billing information of Udit Jain, and fetch the next due payment information for the Jain. And these are coming from 3 different sources. What we are trying to bring it is for this contact center representative, he will see only the app screen and he will have all the 4 different application information consolidate, having it on the one screen. It's an active app scenario. You will be able to click on some of the action and refresh the information by running the background bots, which may go back to Salesforce, fetch the refresh information. Let's say, for example, he said, no, I don't want my June transaction detail. I want to have my May transaction detail. So you can give inputs of dates and month, and then it will go back to the business application to fetch the information. So I may not be able to correlate with the Power Automate because of a limited knowledge I have, but this is the functionality what our apps offer, the UiPath apps offer. Does this
Sounds
answer
good.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
Any further question? We are covering some of the functionality of apps right after this slide. So probably you will have more inputs on that if you have questions on apps. But if you have any further questions, I can answer on it. We just spoke about task mining. That's a new product released. It was in a preview in the past. It's a new product release. Probably you would like to explore more on this product. And rest of the products are being added here are updates, information, what's new in those.
Hi Udit,
Yeah.
Nagarjuna.
Yeah, Nagarjuna.
I'm saying the native integrations, Tableau and
Workato. Yep.
How it will be useful and where we can get knowledge on this.
Absolutely, I can answer that one. That's a very advanced question from the perspective when you look forward for how you can find more RPA use case, more automation use case. Think about a scenario, everybody consume reports, whether it's a Tableau, whether it's a Power BI, whether it's a quick click view, whether it's a Jaspersoft, and there's so many other BI tools available, which actually fetch data from the SQL or the other DB. And they massage the data, they bring that refreshed PowerPoints and presentations for you. So Tableau is one of our tool which is being used for visualization. And what you have functionality integration is, it's a both side integration what we have done. So you can click on refresh button in your dashboard in Tableau, which can trigger the bot. So for example, it's not we are talking about that it's going and queuing it, but actually you are triggering it from the Tableau dashboard, from the Tableau browser screen, from your console. You are not logging into the UiPath portal /orchestrator /attended bot /unattended. You are triggering it within the Tableau environment. By clicking it, you can invoke new process, which can go back to the orchestrator, queue the job, pick up by an unattended bot, and refresh the data from wherever it's coming for you and give it back to you in your Tableau. So if you have these kind of a scenario, think from those scenario, who are your MRI user or MSI users, which is like operational users who consume a lot of data and take decisions. They would like to customize their reports while they are slicing and dicing and consuming it, so they can play with that and they can get their data refreshed real time. So that's an integration what we have done it. So there are activities available, and these activities you can use it within the studio to stitch together your Tableau or Workato application. Similar like that, we have native integration available for Salesforce. We have native integrations available for Workday. We have native integrations available for Alteryx. There are so many others, but just to give you a few names, these are business applications which we can integrate directly with the two-way communication. Hope this answers Nagarjuna.
Yes, so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Just one last question if we have, and we will move to the next slide and the next topic.
Hi, Jain. Raju here.
Hi, Raju.
Yeah. So the thing is, actually, we have similar to ServiceNow on application is there, which is having runbook automation.
Yes.
So let's say right now we are doing the scripts and we are posting over there. Instead of that, so we would like to use Uipath over there. So means bots over there. So correct. Is it possible?
That's correct. We do have a ServiceNow native integrations also available. My apology, I missed out to call out this. This is one of the most useful tool which we work with, and there's a similar kind of a Tableau and Workato which is mentioned here. There's a ServiceNow. As I mentioned, this is 21.4. So this is the new one which we have introduced. ServiceNow, and these are the one which are available for the previous version as well. So ServiceNow integrations are available. I will post the link of a ServiceNow integration connector, and there is a one similar for Salesforce. If you want to refer that, absolutely, you can use it. They are being validated and tested by ServiceNow, Salesforce, Workato, and certified. They are good to go for business usage.
Okay. Here the question is like a similar line of a product is there. There is, I think you might have heard it or not. I'm not sure about it. There is a product called Summit AI.
Yeah.
From there, there is a submit similar to ServiceNow application is there. I'm talking about that. So if there is a feasibility, right, then I'm thinking to just work on that actually, to how to integrate and use it. Probably I can touch base with you if required. Right?
Sure, Raju. And as you are saying, there are so many other integrations are available. Absolutely, we agree on that. It's not that everything is going to be supported / built by UiPath for every product which is available. There are so many community developments, and there are independent organizations / partners who build these components, and they also make it available so that you can incorporate with UiPath and ServiceNow. But it become like you are using 3 different technologies. So you need to make a better judgment with what you would like to consume and how you would like to consume. So for example, if take an example, just not for a ServiceNow, let's say we have something called ServiceNow 1. And if we don't have anything, here submit.ai, if they build something, that's the path for you. So the recommendations are wherever we are available, like we have a native integrations available, consume with us. If we do not have any functionality or a capability, as it's been communicated so many times in the past that UiPath is an open platform model, we recommend you that you go ahead and consume those. But it's all about you, that you do your testing, you do your scenario validated, and then consume those additional technology product. It's no harm to use the technology which can solve your business problem if it is not available within UiPath, but always recommended if there is some native integrations available, consume those and then move ahead.
Okay. So can you just, I think, is there any location like
I will post the link just in chat box right after my hand it over to Shubham so that he can pick up his slide and I can help you with this link.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Raju. Over to you, Shubham.
So let's move to the next slide. So as Udit already has said, that Uipath Apps is an extended version or an upgraded version of the forms that Uipath has already released earlier on. So what is Uipath Apps? So Uipath App is a cloud-based low-code application development platform that enables you to build and share enterprise-grade custom application that deliver engaging user experience. So basically, what does this mean? So basically, this means that you can create an HTML page for the end user or the user that you want the integration or an attended bot to be created for, and he can actually call the robots in the background and get the automation done at his or her end. So basically, they actually allow you to actually create a custom built business application that connects to the data in an underlying cloud or on-premise system using power of automation. The reason and the Uipath apps, the best things in this is you can actually allow a human in loop for the whole thing to be used. And you can actually create wonders of creating very good attended automations with the proper visualization for the end user. So currently the Uipath apps is only available in the cloud orchestrator. Moving on to the next slide. Now the prerequisites for Uipath apps. To run Uipath apps, all end users must be added to an automation cloud account and meet the following requirement as per in attended or unattended automation. For attended automation, Uipath robots with JavaScript add-ins enabled must be present. And for unattended, cloud orchestrator tenants containing your processes, everything must be added on. Hybrid on-premises must be added on. And all other requirements for studio robots and orchestrator actually applies to these type of scenarios. So now moving on to the next slide. What are the advantages? So the advantages of Uipath apps, as I have told you earlier on, you can actually create more visualized automation for attended mode of automation. Now, the next thing that we have an advantage is easy to use, making the automation and user interaction more effective. You can create a very well-built automation or very well-built Uipath or HTML page in a very small period of time. So it's very efficient, and a full-fledged website can actually be created using this type of Uipath apps. Now, a few examples of Uipath apps that has been actually been deployed already. So display data from database to user as an overview. So for a call center, as Udit has already said, that for a call center, when you are any user is calling him or her, basically you can actually allow the end user or the customer care representative to get all your information as per your requirement. So this is how the front user or the person who is actually interacting with you can get up-to-date data for the customer that is being calling in. and everything can be actually be used in this perspective, and the customer experience can be actually enhanced on a very higher scale. Now, we can have an in-call center to display information for the users for ticket raising or verification. Assign tickets to multiple users can be also be used using Uipath apps. Now, let's move to a demo. So now I would be showing you a demo. I would be giving you a small use case. So in this type of scenario, what I would be doing is I have an input file. So in the input file, what we are having a lot of Excel files and we are having a lot of informations, and these needs to be assigned to a proper agent so that they can be deployed onto. So these all things are being added in an Excel file. Now an Excel file over here, I'm just doing it for an ease of access. Now we can have a database in the background or anything in the front end, so that can be automated. So what we need to do is we need to actually assign these type of tickets to the users, and the person who has been actually assigning the booth number, he would be actually just doing in web automation and then assigning these type of tickets in the background. I'm just closing this out. Now I'm opening Uipath apps. So I need to actually log in inside my Uipath cloud apps, cloud orchestrator. So once I've logged in inside this, you can see in the backend, in the left side, we have an apps option. So all I need to do is click over there. And the Uipath app has been loaded. I would be just showing you a small scenario of how I've automated this type of scenario. So what I've done is I've created 2 pages inside this. One is an agent control portal in which he would be verifying the details of the user or the input file. And the second page is he would be assigning the ticket to a particular agent. So how this would be working. So what I'll be doing is I'll be doing it in a preview mode. And I would be also showing you how the execution is being done in the background as well. So the processes that we would be using is create and load, update booth, and validate and update. So once the page has been loaded, all I need to do is load data. Once the data has been loaded, how this has been, as soon as I clicked on load data, as you can see, the create and load data was actually been triggered in the backend. So the data that has been present in the Excel file, it's been actually populated out to me. So I need to actually, now I'm just picking relevant data that I need to pick. So the no power request is actually a complaint, and I would be doing a validation on this. If I want to make any updates or changes, I can just do an update over here, and that would be created and updated inside the Excel file automatically. So I'm not doing any changes. Let's make a small change over here in the name, and I'm doing a validate. Once the validated has been done, the data has been overwritten on the Excel file in this scenario. And then we will be moving on to the next file. And in the backend, as you can see, we have already triggered validate and update. Now, after this when I have completed that scenario, now I have to add an agent. So once all I need to do is click on the drop down, and I am assigning it to B. So the agent that has been assigned this ticket is the agent B. And all I need to do is next request. Once this has been done, once this has been triggered, as you can see, update boot has been triggered. Now, after that, another process has been triggered as create and load. And after that, the main page has been loaded. And with the new set of information, everything has been loaded up. So now let's go back to the Excel file that we have created. So as you can see over here, I have updated the name of Nidhi with Nidhi S. So this was already been updated, and the agent that has been created is with B. So because of the logic in the backend, what I actually did is, if anything is not present out over here, that is being populated in the front end. So if let's assume I'm updating this as D, and I'm doing a load data again, and I need to actually close the Excel file because everything is being done in the backend, background automation. Once the load automation or the load data has been done, you can see the data and the name of the person has been changed to Varna. So this is how this whole thing has been completed. Now, back to the questions. If anyone has any questions in this type of scenarios, please let me know.
Hey, quick question. Can this be scheduled?
Schedule in what sense? Basically, this is an attended automation. So
Yeah, it is attended,
actually.
Is there a way, if we wanted to do schedule it, is there a way? This is what I meant by earlier. I asked about, is it similar to Power Apps? I think this one is the closest match that I was talking about, because in Power Apps, there are certain things that are very in perspective of license, right? They're a bit costly, the connectors and all. So even most of them are exploring apps. So that's why I was about to ask, if this could be scheduled.
I can give you some clue on that. I don't know whether I will be able to meet your questions requirement or not. Shubham, if you click on assistant,
yeah,
and just click on the next button next to home, yeah, here you can create add new reminder, which is like you can create your own reminder when you want to run this app for a first time. But it's not that you can schedule it. If you want to run it from a attended bot perspective, we have a different solution. If you want to make it a kind of like a schedule model and you want to come at your comfort and want to action it, that's called Action Center, which can be invoked and work with that. But that's not going to be a kind of like a real-time experience, because here you have seen that it's playing real time with the running attended bot, refreshing the information. But when you are going to run it as an unattended bot and an action center, it will go back to the orchestrator, put that job in the queue, and once the unattended bot is available, it will execute. If it is available real time, it will execute. If it is not available, it will best pick the schedule and work on it. Does this
Hey,
give
it is very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Naga. Rajesh, you have a question here. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah,
thank you.
sure. So I just give you one understanding of me, just to confirm. So this is like, as we are already using the attended automation, this is some kind of UI will display to the user,
That's correct.
but all the rest of the functionalities of this UI are built as a separate robots, like separate processes in an attended bot, right? So
Yeah.
for every UI actions, there will be a separate process running in order to do the
Not
functionalities.
for one UI, you may have more than one process running for that.
Okay,
Because
so
likewise,
so
if you have seen this, he has played around with the created and local and update. So he has played around with the two different
yeah, understood.
process here. So you may have a scenario where you may have a 4 different workflow to be triggered based on the human action or the user action.
Okay, so it's like advanced level of using the Uipath form. So if we wanted to bring out the same functionality using the Uipath form, then we need to show the pop-up every time the data gets changes. Like in a single process, we have to open and close the Uipath form again and again to show the different data to the user. But it's like a single UI where the user can directly interact with the UI. All the functionalities will happen in the background with the different processes.
You have both the solution available, Rajesh, from our end. If you want to
Yeah.
customize this
Yeah,
same
I'm just getting the
control,
confirmation
yeah.
for my understanding.
Yeah, if you want to trigger an agent control portal with a lot of things within the same page, it looks like at this point of time it's a very simple one.
Okay.
And you want to trigger multiple things within this one page only. So you want to make your process life with the one page. You will try to stitch together everything here, agent control portal. Likewise, you have load data and validate. You can have multiple data, multiple clickable buttons, which can be referred to a different application. So, say, example, load data is from SFDC, validate is from SAP. So it can trigger multiple, but if you want to create forms which will be open in a new browser page, that's also possible.
Okay, yeah, understood.
Depends on the customer scenario. Like if it's absolutely a scenario which I don't require in one form, and the data is too much, which may make this page clumsy. So you may want to open a new page, but that depends on the use case scenario, but both the possibilities are available.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so to add to this, we can also, as per your questions, we can actually create a logic over here also. So once I click on that button, what actually happens in the background, we can actually make sure that that can be added on. So what I'm doing is I'm running the process of validate and update. I'm taking all the inputs that has been added out, and I'm overwriting it as per in the background. And then I'm moving on to the next page. Now, if I need some other further instructions, I need to open a new URL. I need to do an if and else. I need to show a timer. I need to show a spinner. That all thing can be done in the background as well. So it actually depends on what needs to be added out in the next page.
Thank you, Shubham.
Thanks, Shubham. You can move ahead. Do we have any further question on apps? Okay, Shubham, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's talk about modern folders. So in UiPath, they have actually introduced a modern folder concept. In this, what is actually happening is you can actually create users profile and then assign the robot on the user profiles. Rather than creating a machine on that, you can actually now talk about just assigning the robots to a user. So in this, what is the best scenario is basically now you can actually log in into any system using your credentials, and you would be having access to the UiPath robot. So you're not now constrained to a single machine, but you can actually rotate around with multiple with the same credentials to a different machines altogether. So we in this modern folders, we don't have environment. So earlier we were having the restriction is that the process needs to be defined inside a machine, and then we need to create a new environment and then allocate that over to an environment, allowing you to actually make sure that that process can be executed under that. But inside the modern folders, these type of restrictions have been removed. The third point inside this is it's very easy to use, and you can actually allocate the access and remove allocations for under this in a very very easy manner, rather than in the earlier mode we need to actually delete the robot, then delete the machine, making an havoc for the person who is maintaining the orchestrator. But now all these scenarios can be easily be handled by simply deleting the user, and he won't be having an access to the credentials or the orchestrator directly. In modern folder, we can actually also allow multi-mode access also, and multiple invoke flows. So inside this, now a single XML file can have multiple input points, and you can actually use that as a scenario to automate your case in a better way. Now, this modern folder is available in the version which is available in 19.10.1 to a higher version. And now let's talk about how we can actually create a robot under this. What is the advantages of using this? The first point for advantage is actually it's easy to assign license between users. Registering machine is no longer required, as I've already told. It's easy to maintain access as we have assigned the user in a group and allocate the group access using this type of scenarios. Easy to pass assets and implement multi-node entry points added recently inside the Uipath Studio. So if we are actually implementing this, we need to actually enable this inside the Studio version to allow the person to actually have multi-nodes entry point inside an XML file. Now moving on to the next point, if you want to see, now let's go to the modern folder. All I need to do is I need to click to home. Now I would be going inside my orchestrator. So I'm just showing you how you can create a modern folder, how you can actually access it out. I need to click on the tenants. Next, I would be clicking on the folder version. And inside this, as you can see, the default and the file are basically the default versions. That is the standard ones. Now, if I create a modern folder, I need to click on the modern tab over here, and I would be naming it as test. And the process tab, we can actually create a new package feed also, or we can have the original feed that has been fed up. So I'm just picking the tenant package feed, and I'm doing create. Once this has been done, as you can see, this has been allocated out over here. Now, how you can see is that this has a different view altogether, and one user is already been defined. So because I'm an administrator, I'm being assigned to this automatically. But if you need a different person to be accessing, you need to go back to the admin page on the left side. Then you would be going to the user groups. Over here, you can invite new users and then assign the respective users or him the rights as per your requirement. If you want to edit them also, you have a version of editing it, automation user and developer. Because the administrator has the highest access, you will means you would be having access to all the modern folders if you are an administrator. Now, moving back to the admin page. Now, as you can see, I have already been assigned a test folder, and this is a modern folder that has been assigned to me. Now, I'm assigning a robot to the machine or to the new folder altogether. So as you can see, I've already preferred and given a preference of the whole thing in an machine license, which is an older version of this. Now, if I need to actually connect this out to a service URL, this would be actually assigning me a new license automatically. Now, all I need to do is do a sign in. So after that, I would be triggered into a new URL, allowing me to access this, but there would be an error. I'm pretty sure on that. So once that has been enabled, as you can see, I won't be able to access it. So this error it is something that we need to actually make sure that on the orchestrator, we are actually avoiding this set. So how to avoid this? We need to go back to the orchestrator page. Now next to, we need to go to the tenant one. And inside this, we need to go to the security settings, sorry, the setting page, and then the security page. Once I have navigated to this page, all I need to do is allow both user authentication and robot key authentication. Once I've clicked on this and then a save. Now, after I'm saved this, all I need to do is try it again. And then I'm signing in using the URL only. Now my user has been assigned the bot. So as you can see, the license has been allocated to me successfully, and I am a licensed user altogether. So now I'm not using a machine. I'm using the user account that has been assigned to this person, and I'm accessing the robot and the machine directly using the modern folder concept. Is there anyone having any questions on this? So this is how everything has been going on inside the modern folder. We would be talking a bit more detailed in the next last topic. But if anyone has any questions on this, please let me know.
Sure, I have one question. David over here.
Hi, David.
Hi, Udit. So is there a difference between this personal workspaces and this modern folder?
The personal workspaces, you mean the folders, the default folders and the modern folder. Is that what you're trying to say?
The personal workspaces also we can create over here, right, on the tenants?
Yeah. So that is a different thing altogether. You would be creating a new tenant altogether in that perspective.
Okay.
That is not what, so you would be having a different roles and everything. You would be creating a different tenant. Basically, that would be a different tenant altogether created for you. And you would be logging in using that tenant.
Okay, I can add more to that. David, if I'm understanding your question correct, when you are
Yeah.
in personal workspace, you are saying that similar like the one right now, the tenant which is shown here, which Shubham is working on, you will have one for HR, one for finance, one for IT, one for legal, one for marketing, one for sales. That's the one where you are on that. But what we are referring is within the tenant, if you would like to go ahead and have modern folders, which is the best recommended approach from Uipath, you can make multiple modern folder, and you can say that HR payroll, there is a specific modern folder. HR new employee onboarding, there is another modern folder. Within HR form 16, there's another folder. So you may have different user, different permission, and within the group, you can manage that. That's what Shubham is referring right here. But does this answer, does this give you perspective where you are coming from?
Yes, Udit. Yeah, that helps. Yeah, thank you.
So that's the way we would like to bring more security and restrict access. If you are in HR, you should not have everything visible to you. To try and control that, we are bringing more functionality, which is restricting to the specific folder where your use case are lying, and you only have access to that. So as a part of a sales, as a part of a HR, as a part of the finance, I may have access to the tenant, which is uipath.com/finance, which is my tenant. But within the tenant, you are bringing more privacy of your content, data, and running your process. Though it doesn't mean that if you have bots which are lying outside, they cannot connect if you don't have permission. But you can make Udit Jain connecting to HR, Udit Jain connecting to HR payroll, HR payments, HR IT, whatever the folders it is. You can connect Udit Jain to all the 4 folders which is there in the HR, or you can choose, I want to give only Udit 1 folder access. So it's bringing more double click, deep dive privacy and security to your content, your processes.
Yes, Udit. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Thanks, David. Anyone else has a question? Would like to raise up or unmute? Yeah.
Hey, Udit and Shubham. Here's a quick question. So when we are switching from classic to modern, is there any plan that Uipath is going to stop the classic folder usage going further?
Well, I can suggest you that if you are in the journey from moving to classic to modern, keep doing it. We have not disclosed / make any announcement that we are discontinuing classic folder. But as we have seen that why the modern folder came arise, because a lot of customer has demanded for that kind of functionality, and we have introduced that. I may see that will fade off sometime, but officially there is no announcement we have made it that classic folders are getting fade off. But if you are in the journey where you already have a classic folder and a modern folder, at this point of time, you can have both. In future, most recommended option will be modern folder. And whenever we will announce the fade off time, there will be ample time given to the community to go ahead and plan it and then move it to the modern folder. Does this help, Muthu?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it does help.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Pradeep here.
Hi, Pradeep.
I just wanted to ask, Miss, is there a concept of like global resources here in modern folder? Like if I want to have some common like assets in one folder,
Yes.
like over here, if something I have built that some common assets I am keeping in default folder, but I'm creating my processes or deploying it in test folder, suppose. So can I use those things from other folder as well?
You have both the option available. You can segregate your asset absolutely 100% independent, or you can link it with other modern folder so that people can go ahead and leverage the benefit if other department / other unit has that feature functionality. So can be a common scenario. Let's say, for example, SAP is getting utilized in all the organization at a large scale, and you built a asset which is for handling password. Now this asset can be used by anyone, whether you are in HR, whether you are in finance, or whether you are in any other unit. If you're logging to SAP, you will be handling that. So you can share that kind of an asset and make it available for all. And you can also go ahead and say that once the password enter, the workflow is different for each user.
Okay.
That's one example I'm giving, but I may have a more relevant example, but this is the easiest one which clicked in my mind to answer it right here.
Yeah, my main motive was to ask just that is means that sharing possible, that it should not be like restricted to only one folder, that we can only use resources present in that folder only.
Correct.
So, yeah.
The benefit of this is like you will have some of the assets which are managed and controlled by the COE, which you cannot have a permission to make changes, but there will be some of the other ones which you will be living and dying within that folder, which are only for that user group, which I was giving an example like a HR payroll. So it will be only for the HR payroll people, but they will not be able to use most of them. The SAP asset, which I'm referring as a password manager, you can use that as a common one, which is available across if you're touching an application, which is SAP.
Okay, thanks, Udit.
Thanks, Pradeep.
Okay, so to add to this, as you can see, I can actually link from other folders as well. So I just went to the modern folder and I clicked on add asset. And if I'm having an access to all the other ones, I can link it from the other ones as well. So all the other folders and access have actually been available over here. All I need to do is check mark them and then continue. And as you can see, this has been means available in 2 of these folders. All I need to do is link, and I would be having means that new asset added out over here automatically.
Can we share asset? We have one interesting question. I don't know who has asked. Ujjwal, can we share asset among tenant as well? Okay. So that's, I think so. The answer is, I believe it's yes, but let me just give me a few seconds. I can just check and confirm. Within the tenant, my understanding is yes, but I'm just checking it and confirming you, Ujjwal. Just park your thoughts for a few more seconds and I give you the answer.
Library items, we also know that we can share, but yeah, assets is a tricky thing.
Yeah, let me just check and confirm. We are good, Shubham. You can move ahead.
Okay, sure. Now moving on to the new updates in Orchestrator. Now let's talk about that. Okay, so as you all know, and if you are using the Orchestrator from 2019 version, you can see that the old version had a restricted view. You were only able to see how many robots were present, how many jobs were being executing, what were the transaction counts, process, assets, queue, and schedules. But in the latest version of 2020, as you can see, they have actually modified it in a better way. They have created new folders. They have created a modern folder. You are able to access all the Orchestrator apps from the left-hand side menu. and you can actually access each and every folder, and each and every folder has a different process and execution altogether. So you can access the process, asset, queues, trigger, users altogether in a single folder and a single file. By a single click, you can actually navigate to the new access. And that play card is actually very useful for the user and the orchestrator people who are using them. The job status is actually the same and dynamic added on, and the job history, how many were successful, how many hours running, and how many were successful, that has been actually been appended and available inside the 2020 version. Now, if anyone has any questions, if we can actually answer them, or I can show you what were being added inside the orchestrator. So however we want to actually move on to that, we can actually address the questions as per that. You want me to go ahead and show you the latest orchestrator and what are the new features that have been added in, or you want me to, you have some new questions for that?
Hello everyone, Ujjwal this side. I have a question here.
Hi Ujjwal, please.
Yeah. So there's a request from our client. So he wants to run the bot as per his availability. So it's an unattended automation, but he wants to run it as per his choice. Is there a way without giving access to the orchestrator, we can leverage, like use any of the tools or anything for that?
Let me pick this one and we'll come back to you, Sandeep. We just saw you that you are unmuted. So we'll come back to you with answering after Ujjwal. Ujjwal, first part is on your asset. There is something called as a global value. If you define that, it works across the tenant, which you can also overrule within the tenant rule and the policy as well. I just pasted the link, refer that. And on to your second question, unattended bot, they want to run it as per their comfort. Probably if you are on the previous version, which is 2019 or on 2020, you may have heard about Orchestrator Mobile Edition, which is available on Android and iOS. From there, they have a flexibility to use it. But your second part of the question is that you do not want to give them access to the orchestrator. If you are on a 2020.10 or on 21.4, and if you have configured the identity server, you can leverage a function which is called as the action center. They can go to the action center and trigger the job from there. Does this answer, Ujjwal?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but you need to be tricky on which version you are in your organization. I'm not aware of the orchestrator. Hence, you have to be very clear where you are defining your rule book for your end user. But I understand that some of the users, they don't want to run the automation on their machine, but they want to run the automation run on the server side, but they want to see the result when they are available, when they are free. They don't want to schedule it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that kind of scenarios.
So sorry, Udit, just want to add our experience as well. In our project, for the similar thing, we are using PowerShell script, like from the Swagger API. Correct. We are giving them one particular, you can say, API. We are creating it for them, and they just need to run it simply by double clicking on it, and that will execute a job without giving them access for the orchestrator.
Absolutely.
So that would be working in the previous versions as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
With everybody that works on any environment, it's like without any technology. This is plain vanilla offer. It's living and dying from a good long years. This is not a new what we are talking about. APIs are absolutely possible. He can send an email. He can trigger an API link click, and the bot can be picked up based on the availability of a bot should be available at that point of time. Otherwise, it will once again go for a queue.
Right.
Yeah, we would like to hear Sandeep. Sandeep, you have a question.
Yeah. I just want to know the multiple entry point feature in the studio.
Okay, we are about to cover that. Yeah.
Okay.
Just wait for a few more seconds. Shubham, if no more further question, you can pick up the next topic.
Okay. So inside the Uipath, let me create a new studio version. Okay. I am creating a new project. Let's say it be something that's test thing. Okay. I've already created that. I'm just creating a new thing. And I would be creating two message boxes inside this automatically. One would be for, hi, how are you? And the second one would be, how are you doing? So The entry point, as you all know, if it is a sequence inside the main, earlier we only were able to run everything that is starting from the main box, or we can actually update that using the main file, something like that. Okay, so all I need to do is add a new sequence. Now I'll make it as main2. And once that has been created, I need to go over there in studio version and just add an enable entry point in the studio. What this does, this actually allows inside the orchestrator, when I'm uploading this package. So let me add an activity inside this, both of them, message box. Inside the Studio One version, I'm adding as you can see, both of them are having a different message box, and I can actually trigger that out using this. I'm not adding any new package. So all I need to do is publish this inside the orchestrator. I'm publishing this in testing 1.2, and then as I'm uploading this to the orchestrator, it's been uploaded. Now I'm going back to the modern folder inside the test, home, inside the process. I need to add a new process. Then it would be testing 1. As you can see, this has been added. Now, as you can see inside the runtime argument, I'm having two options out of it. One is the main and the second one is main2. Let's create one process with testing 1.2 starting with main. I'm not putting any display name. So I would be actually showing you an error message that will be created. So one process has been started with testing 1, which would be starting from the main, that is how are you. And the second thing that I would be creating is from the next file, the second entry point that I have created. So main2 is the second entry point that has been created. I would be doing continue and create. Now, as you know that I have not named it. So that's why I used the original name of the process file, that is testing 1.2. But if I want to create a different runtime or entry point that needs to be enabled, all I need to do is create a new display name. So I would be doing as, and this would be created inside the orchestrator. And this has been added inside the flow. Now all I need to do is let's run this, both of these jobs. Now I'm running these two and I'm doing a start. Not find a machine. Let me check if I'm actually enabled this. Okay. Any user, it's not been enabled. That's why it's not being shown over here. I need to actually define the user roles and allow the user over here. So basically, I hope you understood the point, what we are trying to say.
Yeah.
Two entry points. So now what is the uses and advantages of this? Now the advantages of this is you don't need to create two different processes or two different files, for one as a dispatcher and the second one as a performer. What you can do right now is you can actually use the same program files and create one performer and the dispatcher inside a single process. So this would be means this will actually allow you that inside the orchestrator, you can actually decrease the number of packages and you don't need to actually handle both of them altogether. Now, the advantage, second advantage is inside this is now you don't need to actually, let's assume you have created a custom activity or custom workflow that needs to be used in both of those processes. You can actually use the same thing altogether inside the same process. You don't need to actually make sure that everything is being created in that perspective. Now, you can actually create as many as workflows as you want inside this altogether. All you need to do is enable entry point, and once I publish this would be available inside the process folder as a new workflow. This won't be enabled because I have not published this out. I hope I answered your query, and this is what I actually wanted to cover inside this.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there anything else that anyone other have any queries on?
Yes, hi Shubham, Shikhar this.
Hi. Yeah.
Right. So just is it similar to, like, for example, if we have a process built with two scenarios in there and we are passing two different arguments, so we can create two different triggers for that and passing a different argument so that it will run.
Yes, so that's the same thing altogether. But over here, while we are actually creating any process, what it actually does, it only starts with the main folder or the main XML file that you have created. But with this multi-node enable, what you can do is you don't need to actually start everything from the main folder. You can create a different main folder altogether and create and pass new arguments altogether over here. So let's assume in the main folder, you are passing 3 arguments. So in the second main folder, you can pass 5 or 6 arguments as per your requirement. So this is how you can actually enhance your requirement and means as per your requirement, you can make sure that everything is being answered and it can be reused altogether. You don't need to go back every time and then publish a new package for each and everything that you need to be publishing or having an argument set for.
That's exactly the point, Shubham.
Yeah, one point from my side, because I'm facing this issue. I've created one process with different arguments and creating different triggers according to the argument value for different triggers. But the when I am using I am using 4 different triggers for one process with different arguments. So one of the trigger is automatically coming into the picture after every 5 minutes as it is scheduled. But others are lagging behind. For example, others are sometimes running in 2 hours, 3 hours. So I need to check whether if the single process is triggered with different triggers. So does it impact them, or does the UiPath orchestrator get confused that this process is already running, something like that? Because I'm facing this issue.
I've never faced this type of issues what you are talking about. I have created multiple triggers, but it actually queues in the process folder altogether if you're having the same trigger or the same process.
Yes. So, but with the triggers are different, but one process is running in every 5 minutes. The one process is lagging, one trigger is lagging behind. So that is the question. So I'm not sure why it is happening. I need to check. Hopefully.
Yeah, Shikhar, that's a good one, because I can sense it. Like, you have a one job which is getting triggered. It may take few minutes, and there's the other trigger which get his job done because there is no data refresh, so it get complete immediately.
Yeah.
So it's getting confused, or it's not giving you the right path. Like, should I go back to the option 3 or should I go back to option 1?
Yes. So, for example, in the screen we can see there's testing 1 2, testing 1 2, and there's an underscore. So these are the 2 triggers, for example.
Correct.
These are the process. For example, these are the 2 triggers connecting to the same process but having the different argument. So if the first one ran, then the second one should automatically be ran after that. But what is happening? It is first is running, and then again the first is running, and after 1 or 2 hours, then the second is running in between. So that is making a confusion there. So for this, I need to, as it is impacting my processes, so now I need to create a different solution with the so that it can be managed for now. But I need to get the answer for that, why it is happening.
Yeah, probably, Shikhar, you can just pick up my LinkedIn URL in the chat box, ping me 101, and I get you connected with one of my support engineer, so that he can look at your code and guide you how we can solve it. Maybe we are theoretically thinking at this point of time, but we're not the one who can actually go ahead, look at the code and give you the recommendation where it's not working or what's the cause behind. But I can get you aligned with one of our support engineer who can look into it.
Yes, that will be.
Yeah, you just did yourself.
Just I also want to add on this. Shikhar, is it possible that there is a limit that only one job can be there in pending state? So it may be possible that other job, when it's getting triggered, so first one is already pending and other one is getting killed, means that's not getting in not getting in the queue. So that's why you are seeing only one job again and again.
So from where we can check that, if you can show how, so I will check from my end.
So basically, I'll just pitch in inside this. Basically, what actually happens is when your processes are getting executed, if it's on the same machine that has been running, there can be only one pending state for the same process, or not the same process, but any other process that can be aligned inside an orchestrator. It is a limitation inside the orchestrator that inside the process, if there are multiple processes or the jobs are running, only one machine can have only 1 or 2 pending jobs inside it. But anything further than that, the orchestrator actually discards it because the machine is already busy and it has 2 more processes pending inside it.
So that might be the reason, because the machine is same, obviously. It is using the same machine on my end. Okay. Thanks.
It can be a possibility because I have also got an issue of this. So I actually delayed the time for 5 minutes for all the 3 processes that are actually executed in this type of scenarios.
Yeah, I tried to do that, but it was not that much beneficial. So I need to create a new solution with a different JSON name. Yeah. So
there is setting. I also don't remember exactly. Means where you can see that thing, but you can change it. That how many simultaneous job can be there in pending state. So you can just go through that orchestrator settings. So you will find it.
We'll try to search that as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Shubham. Shikhar, just try it out. If it doesn't have the solution, just ping me back and I get connected with the support.
Sure.
Thank you. Anyone else has a question?
Hi, Udit, Saurabh here.
Hi, Saurabh.
Yeah, one question I was having, like as Shubham has explained one scenario that we don't need to call the dispatcher alone and like performer after that. So in doing that, can we put any entry point or we can invoke the workflow like a dispatcher workflow as in all application in RE framework, so that once the data is pushed to Orchestrator and then our process in the process state we can reuse it from the getting the data from the queue. Can we do so? I hope you can understand my scenario.
So you are creating 2 processes inside inside the studio. One would be a dispatcher and the second one would be the performer, right?
Yeah, correct.
So basically in this type of scenarios, what I actually do means I follow this type of things. So what I do is only one process or one robot can actually perform as a dispatcher and multiple machines can act as a dispatcher. Okay. So what I do in this type of scenarios, I actually create the multi-node studio as one would be as dispatcher. Everything would be added inside the RE framework in one of them. I would be copying the same thing inside another main2 file, and that would be named as performer. Now, what I do is once dispatcher is completed, what it does is it actually adds items in the queue. Now, there is an option inside the trigger, the latest version of Orchestrator. They have added, one second, let me go to the trigger. So now I can add a trigger on the basis of the queue. Anything that has been added inside the queue, then this process would be executed. So this is how I can actually make sure that the dispatcher, if it adds anything inside the queue, then only the process would be triggered, else the performer won't be started. Did I actually answer your question or?
No, actually, what I want is like, suppose I have started a code that is built in RE framework only. And in starting in the init all application state, the dispatcher is going to push the code, push the data to queue. After then, whenever I'm going to call the queue or test the queue with the queue name, then I'm going to get the data over there, and I can use it in the further states of RE framework. You got my point? What I want to explain.
Yeah, so you are adding the init as a dispatcher, but the performer would be on single machine only in this type of scenarios.
Yeah, actually dispatcher will be a simple sequence. In that sequence, I'm going to to push the data to the orchestrator. That's it. That is the main main intention of dispatcher what we have.
Right. So you are basically integrating the dispatcher and the performer all together inside a single RE framework, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's it. Like I have tried already, but someone said we shouldn't try. That's why I left it.
The reason why he actually suggested to not do it in this manner is basically the dispatcher, if you are performing on a single machine, that's okay. But the performers, you cannot scale up the process if you are having the same process executing inside a multiple performer. Because in the scenario that you were executing, what were actually happening is the dispatcher and the performer can be executed on a single machine only. No different machines, or you cannot actually add more machines inside the performer mode.
Okay. I think I got your answer. Yeah.
So basically the same machine, this process that you have created won't be scalable. You cannot scale it up. So if you the process, it's always recommended that you create a dispatcher and performer separately. So that will actually help you out.
Okay, okay. As you explained this, this theory, that's why I thought maybe we can do it. Yeah, thank you.
So you can do
Thank
that, but there would be two different main files. One would be acting as a dispatcher, and the second one would be as a performer.
Yeah, okay, okay. Like overall, the project will be one on, That's what
That's
I
right.
want. Yeah,
Yes.
it's okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
And Shubham,
Hi,
Yeah,
Shubham.
Hi. Please tell.
Yeah, just now as you shown the entry points, we can make multiple entry points for in single process, right?
Mm-hmm.
In example, I have two processes. In one case, I am to execute one by one. In another case, I am to execute only process 2.
Okay.
So if I make main 1 and main 2 as both entry points, and as you shown, we can create a process making main 1 as one process and main 2 as second process. In main, when I run a main 1, I need to run main 2 as well. Without invoking, can we achieve that?
So yes, you can. Basically, in the main one, you will need to actually create a queue item. And the main two, that would be triggered using if any item has been added inside the queue. So after main one has been completed, main two would be automatically be executed.
Okay.
Did I answer your question or means?
Yeah, we need to have a trigger like flag. Once it's done, we need to run trigger.
Yeah, so right. Basically, in the first process, you would be adding a queue item. Once that queue, any item has been added inside that queue, you can actually trigger that new process now.
Okay.
I need to enable which queue I want to enable this, and the which process would be executed.
Yeah.
Shubham, I have a very simple doubt. There is a job priority called inherited. Actually, what is that does?
Inheritant. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So while I'm creating a process, there is an option of you can actually tell the priority of the job. Just 1 second.
Yeah, I know about the rest of the three, high, normal, and low. There is one more thing called inherited. I have seen it in my case.
Yes, yes. So basically, when you're creating anything, so this priority would be used inside that. The one that for the process that you have created inside the trigger, over there, the inheritant would be mentioned. That is the process how you actually defined it. So over here, the inherited. This means how you define the process. If you defined it as a normal, it would be the process or the trigger would be created in the normal mode. If you created in the process folder as high, it would be automatically created as in high. Else, it would be created as a low. This is what inherited means. You can change the priority level using the trigger in this type of scenarios.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for a quick round of applause for everyone. It's a very interesting and interactive session going on. The recording is available. Kapil, you will be able to see that once you re-click the same link which you have joined, you will be passed to the recording. So that's for everyone. This session is available right after the session gets over. The recording is available for everyone. Just touching on the last topic, Shivam, do you have anything which is left over, which is not covered?
So yeah, I just want to add one more single thing. So inside the admin tab, let's talk about the user groups that we are creating. So inside this, you can actually enable and provide the groups inside these type of scenarios. You can create a new group and then pass in all the users inside this, and then simply allocate how many licenses you want to allocate in each and every group. So using this type of scenarios, how you can do is the people who maintain the orchestrator, they can easily pass on the preferences and the administration account altogether in a single group by simply allowing you inside these type of groups. And in the last thing, inside the tenants, they have a new option of you can actually color your user account. So if I actually provide any of these colors, now if I go back to the orchestrator, you will see that on the top, there is a single line color. So you can differentiate between the tenants that has been created for each and every users inside the new orchestrator. So that's all from my side, Udit.
Thanks, Shivam. Sandeep, you have a question or you just accidentally unmuted yourself?
No, I don't have any questions.
Go ahead.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, that's all from our side. We would like to cover it today. And we once again appreciate your time and efforts, spending a good 1 hour on Friday evening with us. Feel free to reach out to us. The recording is available. We will be making it sure that you have the answers for your questions. Reach out to me on my LinkedIn page and I will be able to connect you. Shubham has also shared his LinkedIn profile on the beginning of the page. Shubham, I request you to paste your LinkedIn profile in the chat box so that if someone wants to connect with you, he can connect and they can connect with you. We are just on the top of the hour. If we have any further questions out of the topic as well, we would like to pick it up. We do have Ishmeet and we have Nagarjuna. Would you be able to connect each other and help, or you would like to take this question right here?
How can we disconnect separately?
Just ping me on LinkedIn. I have added my LinkedIn ID in the chat. Okay, and let's talk it over the different separate ones.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If we do not have any further questions, I would like to once again thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining this interesting session, and we look forward to host you again next month. Thanks, Shivam. Thanks, Ishmeet, and thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Hi, everyone. Thank you.